Fucking Windows, man. You ever hear what it's like when a guy eats a whole fucking slice of cheese? That shit is crazy. Anyway, good to see you all again. Thank you so much for coming out. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Ha 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 ha. Ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, ooh. How am I today? I'm doing better. I don't know what happened yesterday. It was really weird. Like, I just kind of sat down. I heated up some food to have before the stream. And then all of a sudden, I just got hit with like this, oh. Huh? And suddenly it's like my heart started beating really fast. And suddenly I started breathing really hard. And I was like, that's not normal. And I sat there for ages trying to like, I'm just going to give myself a minute. I'm going to calm down. But I never did calm down. And I kind of thought playing supposedly the scariest chillers art game when that happened, it didn't feel like a panic attack. It just felt like anxiety, just like completely out of nowhere. I wasn't scared about anything. I was just like, the fuck is that? What? And then I kind of just thought like, you know, if my heart's already beating out my chest and I'm sat here eating lunch, I feel like a horror game is a bad idea. So I'm glad that I think it's probably the right thing to do to reschedule to today. And I'm glad that I wanted to do it as soon as possible today because I can kind of squeeze that in around the stream we already had planned for today. So we can do lots of stuff today. And that's pretty cool, you know. I'm gonna drink my water. So yes, other than that happening, I've been fine. I didn't really, I just kind of relaxed yesterday, tried to kind of like take things one step at a time, and I'm doing much better now. Just sort of chilling, you know, going about my day, going about my daily things every once in a while, you know, doing my stuff. Thank you very much, Bogang, Nana, Liu Sha, thank you very much. SSE Sao, thank you very much. DDR, thank you, Miao Bing, thank you very much. Michiko, Chilik, Tian Tian, Remy, Piying, Nekosaka, Gladys, Rebecca, Chun, thank you so much for the support. Jean, thank you very much. And it was really nice because for a while, like while I was trying to, you know, Crystal, thank you very much for the super. While I was trying to like chill out, I was just sat out in my living room, just like on my phone, trying to kind of just focus on something and take my mind off put my mind on something. That was it. It's like when my mind was on nothing, I was like, oh, I'm feeling scared of something. And then I tried to put my mind on something. And then I checked, and then I checked the stream to kind of go and say, hey guys, I think I'm going to rearrange it. And then seeing all the support and everyone being really supportive and like people sending super chats, even though there was no stream, I was just like, oh, if anything was going to conquer my anxiety, it was that. It was really, really heartwarming. So thank you to everyone who was there and who was helping me feel better, because I feel bad. I feel really bad when I cancel streams. It sucks, you know, to kind of make a schedule and do that. And I'm glad that I've been doing it less these days, and it's nice to kind of give myself less of a schedule and then kind of know that I can do everything I set out to do in that week, you know, because I feel like the way that I was feeling for a while is that I would be like, I would feel confident making a big schedule and kind of seeing the response to the big schedule and people being like, wow, bang a week and all that. But everyone still says bang a week even when I just have 5 streams. And it also means that I don't hit this wall on like Wednesday or Thursday where I'm like, fuck, I need to slow down a little bit. Yuki, Yutsugia, Avis, thank you very much. And what's the meaning of my tweet? The meaning of my tweet. When he, when you, the when he, you, when she, want the you, when he, you, when you, when. Well, really, me personally, I think that Reggie is just scared. Jenny, Alex, Black Crown, thank you very much. Don't feel bad. I'll try not to feel bad. Warm Hearth, happy. Whoa, what up? Thank you very much for your first super chat. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. What up, bruh, Lord? Not much. Not much is up, bruh. I've never said the word. It's very, very rare that someone calls me bruh on stream. I kind of like that, actually. Uma, no, thank you very much. Thank you for taking care of yourself. I love you too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So today, all I wanted to do was just, because I remember last time we had like a straight up just chat, and it was really nice. And I just figured I would like, because I wasn't sure what else to do. I was like, I'm going to squeeze one of those in. So I just wanted to kind of sit and update you all on how I've been doing, and you can tell me how you've been doing, and we're just going to sit and chill and do whatever we want, okay? Hey bruh, hey bruh, hey bruh. So yeah, I mean, not much. I've been playing playing a lot more Monkey Game. I've been playing a lot more Bloons. I've started going and doing the like the hard modes. I've started going and doing like, so I decided like, so basically for those of you who don't know, every track in Bloons has like a number of challenges on it. So there's like easy mode, medium, and hard. But after you beat the base easy, hard, or medium, then it unlocks stuff like alternate rounds where like the amount of balloons that comes out is different each round. Or there's Impoppable, where you get 1 life and you have to do 100 rounds. And then there's Chimps, where you get no income from anything and you can't sell anything, and I managed to get the black border for completing all the challenges on the easiest map on Monkey Meadow, and I've been working on it for some other ones as well. But some of those expert maps are really fucking hard, man. Some of those expert maps, how the fuck do people do that, man? I don't understand. I feel it's not about mechanical skill, it's about placing the right towers. But I mean, I don't know, I can't figure out which ones to do. I guess these are people with all the monkey knowledge. All of their talents all researched and shit like that. Bruh. It's hearing you say things like bruh feels so... I feel like I say bruh all the time. Jello, thank you very much. Sodakula, thank you very much. Good luck with your work, you. Good luck with your work. They have monkey wisdom. This is true. This is true. I can't say I have much monkey wisdom. All of my wisdom applies to very niche scenarios. Very niche scenarios that most human beings couldn't possibly relate to. You say motherfucker? Yeah, I say motherfucker a lot. Motherfucker is a great word. Motherfucker is awesome. It's fantastic. It's swag, actually. Man, bro. Indeed. Exactly. I don't know what the fuck to talk about today. Nothing's happened to me. Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened at all. I ordered a little bit of new furniture for my balcony. That's been nice. That's been nice. I still have to set that up. That's pretty fun. Yeah, I've been doing that. I went to the gym yesterday. I went to the gym yesterday to go and see my trainer. I'm still seeing the same trainer. After like I had a difficult start to the year, like I fell out of going to the gym, but like the same guy was always like he was like really happy to pick back up where we left off, and I've been going back to the gym a whole bunch, and and it's always fun. Like, we've known each other for quite a while now, and whenever we chat, it always feels like we kind of... It's one of my strategies, right? If I need more of a break between sets, what I will do is I'll start talking about something, and he always gets distracted and forgets to tell me to start the next set, and I'm just like... It's like, you know, if I'm a little exhausted after something, and he's, like, about to make me start again in 30 seconds, I'll be like, you know... Me personally, I really think that Lord of the Rings is actually better than Star Wars. And he'll be like, man, how do you think that, man? And then suddenly we'll just get sucked into this conversation. And eventually I'll just be like, oh, hey, it's been 5 minutes. I better get started. And he's like, oh, shit, yeah, you're right. And then suddenly it's not my fault that I've been taking too much time between sets. It's his fault. So that's good. That's good. I mean, I feel like I've been doing a lot better at it recently. So pretty soon what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this... So I'm sort of warming myself back up to it because obviously I was out of practice for so long. I'm doing a thing where I'm going to have like 10 sort of, I'm going to go for it like maybe like 3 sessions a week up until I've done 10 sessions. And then I'm going to start this thing where I start going 5 days a week for a month, and I'm going to see like, and you know, really commit to it for a little while. I'm going to see if I can like see some serious progress in not much time because I need to catch back up, you know, I need to catch back up after I had a bit of a bad time. And it's been working out really well. Like for anyone who hasn't really, who's like tried working out but hasn't noticed many results, creatine makes a really big fucking difference. I mean, the big thing that I always struggled with is like sticking to the right diet because I do most of it. You know, the big thing that I've done with the diet is that like most of what I manage to do is like whenever I eat something, I'm like, okay, does this have a good source of protein in it? And is it like, is it not too carby? And in that case, I'm like, cool, you know, it's probably good enough. But the big thing is that also if you drink, alcohol reduces the rate at which your muscles grow as well. And then, you know, and so creatine like helps your muscles grow, but it's normally something you get from meat and fish. And so if you're a vegetarian, especially, you're not going to be getting enough of it naturally. And so it like really helps you develop with that. So I've been already noticing like huge strides, and I'm feeling really motivated to keep going. Phoenix, Nyanya, Garnet, thank you very much. And Naku, thank you so much for the Akasupa. Tomorrow is my birthday, and one of my wishes is that you be happy every day. I am happy every day. There are all sorts of things that make me happy every day, and you guys are one of them, of course. Nova, thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's an interesting question from Phoenix. What are your niche special interests? I feel like I've already talked about my niche special interests quite a bit. To be honest, the main one is probably Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, you know, it's strange because I feel like it's difficult to recognize which of your interests are niche and special, because to me they're just my interests. RuneScape as well. Yeah, RuneScape is a big one. Niche special interests. I mean, I guess the big one for me would be stuff like fine dining or like sort of tasting. I guess, like whiskey tasting and stuff like that. I feel like, I don't know, I get so sort of sucked into those sorts of experiences that I feel like I could probably talk someone's fucking ear off. I wouldn't call film a niche interest. I mean, everybody watches movies. Have you guys been seeing? I feel like it's been a bit of an influx after Barbie and Oppenheimer got so many people to go to the movies. But, I feel like there have been like a massive increase in, tweets about bad theater etiquette, and every single fucking time I read one of these tweets, I get so mad. I get so irrationally mad. Like, I remember there was a video of some people after, like, you can see the credits for Barbie rolling in the back, and like there's 2 people getting into a fight, and apparently it's because one there was a mom who let her son use their iPad on full volume to play a game while they were watching the film. I was like, if your kid is not respecting theater etiquette, I'm sorry, leave with the child. Leave with the child. If you're desperate to see a film, find a fucking babysitter, because you know, Barbie's a 12, you know. Oppenheimer is rated R. Why are you taking your kids to these? And then I don't know, just people who will like take their phones out and start just scrolling during a film. I'm like, you've paid money to be here. You've paid like $10, $12, $15 to come and sit in this room for 2 to 3 hours and watch a film. Why? What compels you to just go to a theater just to be somewhere? It's so weird. If you want to scroll, just be at home. You don't have to pay money to be at home. I mean, you're already paying rent or a mortgage or something. You know, why spend more just to have somewhere to scroll? If a film is boring you, you can leave. And I remember there was one other tweet I saw, which was like someone saying, yeah, I asked, this woman kept talking in the film, and I asked her to stop talking, and she said, there's just music playing at the moment, no one's talking. And it's like, what the, are you acting like, you know, you're not breaking people's concentration just because there's no dialogue on screen right now? It's so weird. Imagine having that little regard for the people around you. That I've, like, throughout my whole life, and I'm realizing it so much more recently now that I've been living by myself for almost 2 years now. My biggest pet peeve is people who don't think about other people in little ways, you know? It's not about, like, you know, in relationships and in serious interpersonal situations, that's a whole different kettle of fish, you know? But the big thing is, like, just think about people around you. I remember one time, like, I always have these, like, whenever an inconsiderate person, like, I see someone try to shove their way onto a train before anyone else has the chance to get off, I always, in my head, I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna fucking snap and I'm just gonna go off on one of these people, and then all of the problems in the world will be fixed. I'll be a savior to everybody. But I did have something like that happen a little while ago. So when I got back from, I can't remember, it was either when I think it might have been when I got back from LA. I'm trying to remember. I think it was when I got back from LA. Like, I needed to get on a train so I could go home, right? Needed to get on a train to go home, and I know that the train I'm getting is the last one that leaves for the night. It might have been LA, it might have been the last time I went to America, but it was the last train leaving that night, and I needed to get onto it. And there's an escalator, right? And I was getting on the escalator. The train is going to leave in like 3 or 4 minutes. I've gone as fast as I can. And it's probably different in other parts of the world, but in the UK, when you're on an escalator on public transport, you stand on the right side of the escalator. If you're standing still, you will be on the right-hand side so that someone who's in a rush can walk quickly on the left-hand side of the escalator. I was on my way, I was jogging, I had my suitcases, I could see the train, I was about to go down this long escalator with my bags, like actually walk with my bags down because I had so little time, and at the top of the escalator, there is a woman who is not standing on the right, not standing on the left, she is standing spread fucking eagle in the middle of the stairs, taking up both sides, hand on her hip, scrolling, not answering a text, not struggling with something serious. She's wondering, she had Spotify open. What song should I play while I'm slowly going down this escalator and everyone is held up behind me? And and to this day, I will remember this as one of the most cathartic experiences of my life. I shoved her. I was walking down with my things and I said, "Excuse me," and I just, with one of my legs, I just shuffled her onto the right-hand side and kept going. Because I was not about to miss my fucking train. I didn't shove her, like, down the thing, but I pushed her out of the way and I was like, "Excuse me, I said, you need to stand on the right." And then I went down and I was like, it was like one of those introvert moments where finally all like the pent up frustration with people just gets shoved out at one person who genuinely deserves it, and it was really swag. No, that was great. That was a really good moment in my life. That was a main character moment, 100%. I fully snapped. But it's the same thing. It's like people who just what I appreciate in a person is when you're out in public is if you're looking around and if you're considerate of like where other people are going. Like, one time I remember I was getting out of an elevator, right? I went down to the ground floor. I was getting out of an elevator. And then this girl who was in like, who just looked so glazed over, like she just wasn't looking at anybody. Before I can get off the elevator, she walks onto the elevator, but the thing is, she doesn't even look at me, doesn't acknowledge that there's another person trying to get out of the elevator. She just looked at the back of it and just kind of walked on with this weird little smile, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like, and I just had to like kind of awkwardly shuffle around. You know, it's really, I mean, okay, yes. Is it an ADHD thing to walk really fast? I feel like that's because, I don't know, I feel like I walk really fast because I walk a lot. Like I've just been, because I walk like, you know, walking is like a hobby of mine, you know. Is it actually? Oh my, not really. I feel, I don't know, maybe. But for me, I walk really fast. Someone said it was an ADHD thing, and I was like, huh, I mean, that would make sense. But, you know, for me, I walk fast because I've been walking you know, pretty much every day for the last decade, and I have walked a lot throughout my long life. Tootsie, thank you very much, and Nekosaka. Yeah, there was a guy I remember. Oh god, it really broke my heart. Actually, there was one time where I was like getting the train, and there was a guy who was like, he had like a purple tracksuit on, and he had his headphones, and he was rocking, you know. He had like his headphones on, and he had like his phone, and he was like mumbling under his breath to a song, and he was like, yeah, and I was like, this guy seems like he's having a good time. I was like, damn, this guy's funky. I was like, I was kind of like admiring his energy for a little while. I was like, I wish when I went out and listened to music, I had that kind of energy, you know? I wish I had that Bully Maguire energy where I could like listen to some jazz song and start just pointing at people in the street, you know? And I was like, man, this guy's cool. The instant the train turns up, 4 people trying to get out. This guy, boom, straight through the middle of them. Excuse me, boom, straight through the middle of them without waiting for them to get off. He could have waited for 2 seconds, but he was just too on his grind, thinking about his bag too much to consider that 4 people were probably also going to work and were trying to get off the fucking train. It hurt me. It physically hurt me that someone who made that good of a first impression broke my heart so thoroughly. I was just so sad. I was so sad. Fun fact, in Singapore, we stand on the left. Interesting. Yeah, honestly, that's like the first thing that I try and learn. If I go to a new country, I try and observe like public etiquette to make absolutely sure that I'm doing the right thing. Like I'll look at an escalator and I will be like, which side are people standing on? You know, and I'll be like, all right, I'll stand on that side. You know, because like whenever also maybe one of the reasons why people standing on the wrong side on the escalator pisses me off is because so often I am in a rush by default. I'm not even necessarily late for anything. I just go really fast. And I think it's because like I was saying, I walk a lot and it's like a hobby for me. When I remember back in like, I think I've walked a lot sort of, you know, for like just to go places throughout my entire life. But it was in like 2014, I think, that like I got my first pair of decent enough headphones, you know? Okay, well, listen to this, right? You guys know I'm old. I only got properly tech savvy around about 10 years ago. Up until 2013, 14, I was using a brick phone. I was using like a flip phone, right? Like Michael Cera, I was using a flip phone because I just didn't see the point. I was like, oh, these newfangled smartphones. Oh, what's the point? And do you know how out of date I was as well? Do you know how like unresearched I was? My first smartphone, and you're not gonna believe this. My first smartphone was an orange Windows phone. I started not iPhone, not Android, Windows phone. Windows phones could have no apps. There were no games available on Windows phone. And I did not have Spotify. So I was out there getting albums on fucking Bandcamp and shit, and I was there plugging my phone in with a USB to drag MP3s onto my phone so that I could listen to them. But it was when I got my fucking Windows phone and when I started like, you know, downloading songs and putting them onto my phone that I discovered my love of walking. And there were times when around that time, like I started thinking like maybe it's time I got traditionally educated. And when I needed to walk to college every day, I I had the choice and I had the chance of getting a bus, but I chose to wake up earlier and walk instead because I liked walking so much. And I would listen to music. I remember, what was it? I remember listening to all of this different music. I remember I was in a big anime phase at the time as well. And I remember I had like a playlist of all of my favorite intros. And I had like the second Death Note intro and like the intro from Noragami. And I had, what else did I have? I liked the Death Note soundtrack a lot. I used to listen to that all the time. Yeah, I had a big weeb phase. I did have a big weeb phase. No, I did. You may not believe me, but I did. I did have a big weeb phase from around 2013 to like 2016, 17. I was a big weeb. I think I've just simply moved on in life. I still enjoy anime a lot. But I used to watch a lot more anime than I do now. I think my anime phase ended with One Punch Man, I think. Like I watched One Punch Man, and I think after that point I didn't. It's like with some shows, you'll just get like halfway through and you're enjoying it perfectly fine, and then you just kind of stop. You know, the Rumbling wasn't out when I was in my anime phase, but that is a song that I listen to now a lot. If there's one reason I want to learn if there's one thing that makes me want to learn how to nail a false chord scream like that, it's so I can sing along to that. You know, when Ike did his voice note and he sang that song, oh my god, it's a real banger. No, I love that song a lot. No spoilers, by the way. I haven't seen Attack on Titan past season 1. I've only seen season 1. I think I was kind of it's like I had this with Hannibal. Right? I watched season 3 of Hannibal. I watched all 3 seasons of Hannibal. I was loving it. I got to like episode 10 of season 3, and then I just stopped. For whatever reason, I was loving the show. And I was like having a perfectly good time. And then episode, like right near the end of season 3, it's about to be finished. I'm about to be done with the show. I just stopped. I just stopped watching Hannibal for no fucking reason at all, and I still haven't seen the ending. I don't know why. I still haven't finished it. Maybe I should. I feel like it's been so long. It's literally maybe been like almost 8 years since I watched Hannibal, so I feel like I need to go back and rewatch the whole series because I remember loving it a lot, you know. Yeah, maybe I got burnt out. I mean, I'm at a point now where like I'm so invested in like, you know, film and stuff that I can't watch TV of any kind while doing something else. I know a lot of people's process with anime is to like load up Crunchyroll or Netflix or whatever it is on like either on like a laptop or on a second monitor or something, and to then get on with your work or to play a game at the same time. I can't do that. I cannot do that with anything. I did that when I was watching Darling in the Franxx while I was playing RuneScape, and that's because I made myself... And also, remember, I can't read subtitles. Well, I can't read subtitles. Well, no, I can't speak Japanese, so I would need to... if I want to do something else, I would need to watch a dub, and I don't always want to do that. I watched Darling in the Franxx in dub, if you need any more of a reason to call me a normie. But I did do something else at the time, and it's because I was doing a really low-effort grind in RuneScape, and I felt like I could actually concentrate at the same time. But, you know, the rest of the time, when it comes to stuff like... I like Darling in the Franxx too. It's one of the ones that I brought up on my debut, but it's like, just because I like it, it doesn't mean it's like great, you know? Laze, thank you for the super. You almost punched a guy because he was snoring for 90% of the movie. Yeah, if he's falling asleep, just leave. Just tell him to fucking leave. Chris, thank you very much for the super. Sucker. It's because you don't want something you love to end. I mean, I don't know if I loved Hannibal that much. Amalia, thank you very much. Zooming around with Deja Vu in the background. Araki, thank you very much. You use your hyperfixation and then suddenly go on cooldown for the next month. I feel like that's kind of how I work. I mean, it's so difficult to make time for shows. You know, Hannibal was great. I don't know if it was like, you know, love or anything. No, I do like Darling in the Franxx. It's just like, while I was watching it, I was like, I understand and I recognize that these are tropes that appeal to me as a person, but that doesn't mean that they're done perfectly, right? So it was like, I said this in my debut. I like a show where the two main characters are out there destroying aliens while they are screaming to each other about how in love they are. I was like, this is just good for me. This is a me type show. I could recognize that the structure of it was weird and the implications of the universe were weird. Hannibal is amazing, but I'm not saying it's the kind of show that I would have finished and had an existential crisis. You know, that was Hunter x Hunter. When I finished that show, I didn't know what to do with myself. Oh, do you know what? Okay, Tapidala, Rosalinda, thank you very much. Alice, Tetia, and Phoenix, thank you so much. So I'll tell you a fun story about when I watched Hunter x Hunter. So I watched Hunter x Hunter when I still had my orange Windows phone, right? So I watched Hunter x Hunter when I still had my Windows phone. And when I first got my plan, I can't remember what carrier I was with. I think it was Vodafone. And basically when I got my phone, they said, okay, here's your SIM card. You're gonna get, this is before 5G existed, all right? So it was either 3G or 4G. And they basically said, you're going to get 2 months of unlimited data. And I was like, bet. So a lot of the time when I was traveling and when I was like commuting, when I was on the bus, when I was in the back of someone's car, no matter where I was going, I had my little Windows phone and I was booting up episodes of the Hunter x Hunter 2011 and I was watching those and I didn't have to worry about using too much data because I had it unlimited for 2 months. And I binged the shit out of that show because I knew that I wouldn't be able to watch it when I was out and about unless I downloaded it at home or whatever, but I wouldn't be able to watch it out and about if I waited too long. And so I just watched. But it's okay because I was enjoying the show enough to the point where I just watched it really, really, really fast. God. There haven't been many shows that I've binged. I would say that I'd say in my anime phase, I binged quite a few. I binge watched... What anime have I seen? It's difficult to even remember. I did my anime list for Joey, and it was really funny because I gave Mirai Nikki an 8, but then I looked at it and I was like, I actually don't think I've seen that show. I think it was kind of late at night while I was rating them, and I saw Future Diary, and I was like, I remembered the first intro, and I was like, oh, that was a banger. And then I just gave it an 8, and I moved on. I actually haven't seen that show. But, okay, wait. The first anime I ever watched was Steins Gate. I watched that with my friends. It was one of my mates from back home got me into anime, and he showed me Steins Gate. That was my first one. And we binge watched that like as a group, like me and 3 other guys. We were all just bunched up in a bedroom. We just had his laptop and we were watching Steins Gate, and we all just kind of got really into it. But the thing about Steins Gate is that it's got quite a slow start and then it gets really good. And I remember like not really being all that into it at the beginning, because like I was just, I was just like, when's stuff gonna start happening? And then you get to like episode 7 or 8, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then we were in. And then we were fucking in. And like whenever we would meet up after that point, we were always talking about Steins Gate. And then after Steins Gate, I watched the first season of Attack on Titan. Then I can't remember. Then I watched Code Geass. And I think for the longest time, Code Geass was, and probably still is, my favorite. I watched Code Geass seasons 1 and 2. And I binged the shit out of that one. That one was really, really good. A fantastic show. And with one, I won't say what happens for anyone who hasn't seen it, but one of the best endings of any show. Beautiful stuff. One of the best endings of any show. Then after Code Geass, I was on like an anti-hero bender and I watched Death Note. Death Note I have seen 3 times. I watched it with my dad. It was really funny, right? So I'll tell you this, right? So I watched Death Note on like Crunchyroll first, like just in my bedroom, by myself, and I loved it. And then what I did was I remember this like this is a core memory for me. I remember I went on like a trip with Akuma. We went to London, and we went to this place in London. There are these all over in the UK. It's a comic store called Forbidden Planet, and because I was like kind of into like anime and comics at the time and stuff, Mum was like, hey, why don't we go there? And I was like, sure, all right. And then we went to this place. It was really cool. They've got like figures and stuff there. They've got like, they've got a load of like merch and posters and stuff. And I was walking in there, like felt like I was walking into the lion's den and all of that. But when I went downstairs, they had this huge, like collection of anime DVDs, manga, and everything. And I found the box set for Death Note, the disc box set, and I thought, I want that, and I got it. And there was also like this sort of like bonus manga chapter thing, like chapter 13, how to read. I still have that, but I got the box set and I took it to my dad. And then when I took it to my dad, I was like, Dad, promise you, you're gonna love this show. You're gonna love this show. And I showed him the first episode, and he was like. And he, honestly, my dad was not sold based on the first episode. It has a great first episode, but my dad wasn't really sure what the conflict was. He was like, because he had never seen anime before in his entire life. My dad had never seen anything. He knew what it was, but he'd never seen it, right? And he'd never like actually sat down and tried to watch it. Watched the first episode of Death Note, and he was like, well, I mean, what's going to happen? He's just killing everybody. I don't really understand. It's all right. It's just pretty good. Yeah, it's all right. And then I was like, now, shush, Dad. Now we're going to watch the second episode. And then L shows up. And then he's like right on Light's trail. And then my dad was like, okay, I get it. And after that, me and my dad, we binged the entire series. And to this day, he always looks back and he says like, Death Note was really good. Death Note was really, really good. It's just like, oh, son, I'm so glad you showed me that. I tell all my friends at the golf club about it. And I'm like, so my 1,000-year-old dad is out there at the golf club with all of these somewhat wealthy pensioners. And he's like, and it's really funny because my dad like was brought up in an environment where he did not have a lot of money at all. And he's just sort of like, So he's just kind of like, a raised working class man who's kind of just slipped into this world full of these people who invest in property and shit. And he's out there telling them to watch Death Note, and he's out there telling them to watch like Under the Silver Lake and shit. It's really, really funny. But yeah, no, he always talks about how much he loved Death Note. And the other series that I watched with my dad was One Punch Man, and he loved that as well. It's very much like up his alley, It was very funny, very action-packed. He was a big fan of One Punch Man as well. And I watched Full Metal Alchemist with my mum. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, all 64 episodes. I watched that with my mum, and we really bonded over that, and that was really, really nice. She's so cute. She's so adorable. And what she did was that we were getting to the end of the series. We were on like the final 3 episodes, and I'd already seen it. I was just showing it. I was just watching it again to watch it with her. And at the end, she was like, "I've got a present for you, son." And she gave me like a little Edward Elric keychain. She'd like gone out of her way to get me a present based on the show we were watching. And I was like, "Mom." Oh, it was really, really sweet. And so that was like a really nice memory for me. Viola, thank you very much for the super. No, I ain't gonna be shy. You both, thank you very much for the super. Parents didn't let me play with a smartphone. I feel like this is woke up and watched a movie for 2 hours before going to school. That's a really good fucking use of your time. If you're getting enough rest to wake up at 5 a.m. and watch an entire movie before school, holy shit. That's making me want to do that. Imagine if I watched a movie every day before I did a stream. Imagine how much knowledge I would have. Oh my god. Thank you, Nekosaka Inma from Darius. Thank you very much. Rosalinda, thank you very much for the super. Make your mom watch Gakuen Babysitters, and she was crying at only the first episode. All right, I'll think about it. My mum cries at a lot of films and TV and stuff, and I think that's where I get a lot of my crybaby traits. Because you'll remember when I went to America in back in like late February before I came back to streaming after my break. When I was flying home, I was watching Forrest Gump, and I was just sat there like kind of drunk because I'd had too much champagne in the lounge, and like every time he said a single line, I was like, he's so sweet. He's so genuine. And so I was just sat there enjoying first class, and then, you know, the concierge were obviously not going to say anything. They were going to sit there and let me cry, you know, don't make me feel embarrassed and all of that. And I was like, he's so sweet. And it's really nice because for like a huge part of my life, I really wanted to be able to cry at stuff, you know? I really wanted to be able to cry at films and media and stuff, but I never could. I would like get emotional, but I'd be like, where are the tears? I feel like it's just something you've got to unlock, you know? It's just something you kind of have to unlock, you know? Because I know someone asked me a little while ago, it's like, I feel like I can't cry. And I was like, I'm right there with you. I was that. But eventually you'll kind of hit a point where you sort of get yourself better, you know? You kind of get yourself better. Like, I remember it was like maybe 5 years ago now, like at the beginning, like more than 5 years ago, like right at the beginning of like 2018, something happened that was really like, it made me really, really sad. Like I think I had a falling out with somebody, and suddenly I just started crying, you know, and I hadn't cried for like a really, really long time. Like years and years and years and years I hadn't cried. And then suddenly when I did it, it felt like after that point, it felt a lot easier for me, you know? It felt like way simpler of a thing to do. And I feel like now it kind of helps me feel way more in tune with just what emotionally I enjoy doing, you know? And it just makes me happy that I can watch movies and like emotionally register enough to, yeah, crying unlocked as a skill, you know? And now it's getting to the point where I think like if I was in like a movie or a show or something, I feel like I'm getting to a point where I could probably cry on command. Probably because like, I'm getting to the point where I could probably cry on command because it's like, I don't know, if you understand yourself emotionally enough, like if you understand yourself emotionally enough, like it feels so much easier to do that kind of thing. Once you can, I feel like most actors who can cry on command, they probably have like a place in their head they like go to, and it just sort of, you know, when you're familiar enough with something and when it's profound enough to you, it's kind of easy to shed a few tears after a while. There's some music, and like what I'm hitting a point now where if I come up with a really good idea for like an emotional scene in a story or an emotional scene in a script or something, I'll like find a song for it and I'll kind of like pick out the different beats in it, and then if it's good enough, I will sit there thinking about my own idea and I will cry, you know? It's that easy, and that's what tells me I'm like, yeah, that's good. You know, it's not even catching me off guard. It's not even catching me off guard. I'm thinking about this in advance. I already know what's going to happen. I'm still getting myself, you know? So it's definitely, it's an interesting skill, but I feel like it's overall very helpful to be able to do that, you know, to be able to really access yourself emotionally and to kind of be able to communicate with yourself. And it's nice. I'm really glad to be like a little more sensitive like that, because I think that it just makes things easier. It just makes, like, when you have an issue, I feel like I understand myself a lot more. You know, like if I wasn't able to do that, and if I was just like, you know, well, what am I trying to say? If I wasn't able to do that, and if I was just like, I've completely lost my train of thought. And if I was just like not crying at all, and if I had an emotional moment and it just went away, I don't think I would get it as well. I don't think I would understand it quite as well. And then I wouldn't really be able to access that when I try to make something. Because a lot of the time I think that it's like, I don't know, real lived emotional experiences make for the most compelling art, I think. So recently I was just like going through Netflix, and I didn't wind up watching anything. I just kind of was like, I kind of want to watch something. But I did see the little card on Netflix for Marriage Story, and I thought about how that was, I think it might have been recommended to me because Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are like together, and Marriage Story is the story of his own divorce, and it's all very heavily based on his own life. It's very autobiographical. And so when you watch Marriage Story and you see these emotions playing out, something about the fact that it was drawn from someone's real experience not only makes it feel more involving, and I feel like what I enjoy about it is there's so much specific stuff. It's not like what someone disconnected from the situation would, like, think someone in that situation would be thinking. It's, I've been in this situation and I get it and I understand what this was me and this was how I felt and this is what happened to me, and that makes it feel a lot more real. It's very human, exactly. And it kind of makes me think that, like, having people from a certain experience or from a given culture kind of making art about that which they are familiar with is very important, you know, so that we can really understand, like, the actual depth of it. So that you can really understand, like, the depth of it. Very personal, exactly. So, yeah, it's really fascinating to me because I feel like with a lot of my experiences, I want to be able to kind of channel that into something that I make, and I want to be able to kind of create something that represents, like, a lot of stuff that I've been through and a lot of stuff that, you know, it's like for those of you who remember the end of my birthday stream when I was really embarrassing and I had a cry and I was talking about it. It's like if I can have the experiences that I have lived through and I can sort of connect with enough people with the things that I have learned and also the things that I've learned because I was very, very lucky from those experiences to arrive where I am now, then, you know, by sharing some of that luck and by sharing a little bit of, like, you know, this is what I learned by doing, but I was lucky enough to do all of this. Here's what I learned so that you may, even if you're not that lucky, you can have these kinds of experiences. That would be like a really good, you know, that's like a goal for me, definitely, you know, to kind of just be able to sort of relate, to kind of find things that people can relate to and be like, okay, well, I'm in this experience. This is how I'm gonna get out of what I'm doing. And it's been great, you know. I feel like I have so much to thank you all for because I have so much to thank you all for because I like how to make money quick. Fuck if I know. I mean, literally, like, it really speaks to the fact that before I joined Niji, I was like, I have like, you know, I don't like, my parents are definitely supportive and stuff, but I was like, before I joined Niji, I was broke as shit. You know, I like would literally living to the point where it was like, you know, living off of savings and everything I earn every month just is consumed by rent and all of that kind of stuff. Like, if you want to learn how to make money, I'm not the right person to ask. I mean, even though I'm in a really good situation at the moment, I feel like I owe that to NIJISANJI more than anything. And, you know, it's been obviously very, very lucky for me because I feel like NIJISANJI came into my life at like the exact right time, you know, right as I would have been about to enter the world with a set of skills I didn't know how to utilize properly, and with passion that I didn't know where to put, and, you know, with undiagnosed ADHD, I feel like I would have been far more lost than I am now. So, you know, they really did, like, scoop me up and save me. And do you ever get a thing where you feel so lucky to have something that it feels like you'll lose it if you think about it too hard? I get that all the time. I get that all the time. It's like when I think back to, what is it? When I think back to, like, the audition process and how unlikely it was that I would have actually signed up, and done it, I get chills because I feel like, what if me thinking it feels so delicate. The long sequence of unlikely events that led me here is so unlikely that when I think about what happened, I almost worry that by thinking about it, it's so delicate that the mere thought process will undo that little thread of time, and I'll just get snapped back to reality and be like, oh yeah, I'm back living my normal life again, right? So yeah, it's been such a fan. Obviously, I've gone on and on and on about how happy I am to be here, but I think that it really does sort of. It's really made me believe that, like, I don't know, you know, if you look hard enough, when you feel lost in life, you will find somewhere to go. Because I was at a point where, like, I wasn't very happy. You know, I was very unhappy before I found Niji, and before I decided, like, this is something that I really want to do with my life. Because before then, I mean, you know, like I said, I didn't have a lot of money, and my prospects were pretty limited, and you know, I felt like I was decently talented, and I had, like, plenty to offer. But when it came to, like, which direction to go, I didn't know. You know, I really didn't know. And then I think about, like, the fact that it was Onigiri who... I didn't know what NIJISANJI was before. I had never heard of it. I had never... Like, I was barely even... I knew I was barely even, like, familiar with VTubers at all. Like, you know, I felt like I'd done a little bit of research before then, but I really felt like I'd barely scratched the surface, you know. And, you know, Onigiri was like, hey, you know, this might be good for you. And I was like, huh. And I remember at the time, like, looking at Niji EN, I actually didn't even know anything about Niji JP, although looking back, I had seen people from Niji JP before. I just didn't know what Niji was. I had seen Cronoir and stuff like that, but I didn't, like, make the connection. And in my head, I was like, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go for it. You know, I kind of looked at it and I was like, well, you know, it's like I'm kind of busy with, like, my studying at the moment. I was like, well, you know, it might be good. I'm so glad that I actually decided to do it. I mean, you know, I'm so glad. God, you know, going through all of that and, like, and then coming out on the other side. Everyone from Luxiem has already talked about, like, what it has been like when we got, like, the acceptance email. But I obviously because JST at that time would have been 9 hours ahead of UK time. So I woke up at about unusually early one morning, because at the time I was waking up at like 2 p.m. It was not on the toilet. I was in bed. Where'd you get that from? I was not on the toilet, although that was very in character for me. I was in bed and I woke up at like 8 in the morning, which at the time was very unusual for me. I think it might have been fate. And I got my phone out. I saw an email. And the thing about these acceptance emails is that the opening sentence of the email is, like, really, really misleading, and it makes it sound like you haven't gotten it. It makes it sound like you've been rejected at the beginning. Like, it opens with, "We thank you for the time you have dedicated to your audition process." And I was like, fuck, no, god damn it. I was like, no, I fucked it up. And then I kept reading. It says, "We're delighted to say that we would love you to have you be a part of NIJISANJI." And I was like, and then I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it was really cute. I literally was sat there and I, like, hugged my phone. Like, I sat there and I just kind of kicked my feet and I was like, yes, you know. And then I remember, like, there was also that the email was really, really big, like, with all sorts of details about, like, the next steps and stuff like that. But I remember, obviously, like, you have to be really, really careful about who you tell about these things, like, especially in the early stages. And so, like, I was, you know, and I only told people who I really, 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 really trusted. You know, I was like, so I feel like I was almost, like, respectful of, like, the privacy of everything, even to the point of, like, being really anal about it. Like, if someone would ask, like, so you know, like, can you show me something? No, I won't. Like, even if it's someone who I trust, I was like, no, I don't want to show, because at that point it felt so exciting to me, and it felt like I'm fucking back, baby. You know, it felt I'm fucking back. I'm back on track again. You know, I was so excited about it. I was so scared of fucking it up. I was so scared of fucking it up, of, like, breaking some unseen rule, of, like, answering wrong to one of the emails. I was, like, so, and obviously because, like, it's been so many not only has it been so many hundreds of years since I've been to since I had been to Japan at the time, but also, you know, customs change, culture changes, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, what is the etiquette? How do I address these people? How do I do this? How do I do that? And then when I started to reply to the email, it was like, you know, name, like, this is from manager, or this is from staff, you know, name redacted, obviously. And I was looking, I was like, okay, I was like, I didn't know how honorifics worked, you know? And so I was like, should I add the honorific or should I not? I'm like, am I going to write it wrong? Are they going to find it like offensive if I use the wrong one? I'm like, if I don't use it at all, is that like informal? Are they not going to like that? But if I use the right one, like, is it just going to seem like I'm a foreigner who's like, and maybe I shouldn't be using it, you know? And so before I replied to the email, I had literally like done so much research on how to use honorifics properly. And even then I'd like cross-referenced second opinion from all these different fucking articles. And in the end, I realized that management were actually just very sweet. And like, you know what's something really funny? Quite a little while ago, like we were having a conversation on Discord with a couple of Niji people. This was a good few months ago. Like, this was a while ago. But I remember Reimu was there. We were chatting about, like, you know, the process of when we got accepted into Niji. And I was talking about the way that I write emails, because when I write emails, I don't mean to pat myself on the back. I'm really, really fucking good at writing like formal emails and stuff, and like sounding like someone from work, you know, the right amount of exclamation points, the right amount of like extra details, the right, like, being concise in the right way. And so that's what I was doing when I was writing to Niji. And it was like, you know, whenever they would send me an email with like, we would need this from you, how do you feel about this and this? And I would write back and I would be like, that's Slack again. Speaking of which, I would be like, I'd be like, thank you. I would essentially be like, thank you so much for the prompt response. Very excited to keep working together. Thank you so much for your email. Very excited to keep working together. On the following, I feel as though this would be excellent, although I do have some thoughts that perhaps we could also try this. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to speaking again soon. And I looked up like the best ways to end off a letter, and it was like, oh, if you don't know them, the best thing is best regards. You know, warm regards is too personal. You wouldn't say yours sincerely unless you knew someone. So you say regards or best regards, or just like sign your name at the bottom. And so I learned that. And then when I said this, Raymond was like, why the fuck are you writing it so formally? And her emails to Niji are literally like literally with like, I don't know, like IDK ... maybe we can do this and stuff like that. And I was like, you were writing to this company like that? You were writing in like text lingo? What the fuck? But then it turned out, obviously, everything was fine and she got in. So I've concluded that I was just massively overthinking. But at the same time, I'm glad I did. And you know something? I still talk to staff like that, you know, because I feel like it's a good skill, you know, in a corporate environment, to be able to kind of like talk about the things that you really want to do, but in a way that people who aren't on your side of the production process can understand it. So recently I had a really good experience with Manager-san, where essentially we were having a conversation about my law project, and I was sending Manager-san some of the artwork from it, and I was essentially saying, what do you think about this? And I was asking, you know, no spoilers, but I was asking, like, do you feel this is too violent? And we were having a long conversation about it, and Manager-san was like considering, you may want to do this, you may want to tone it down, or you know, because obviously there's the chance of like age restrictions, stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And we talked about this for a while. And like near the end of it, I was kind of saying like, well, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that. And then I ended it off with, I would like to apologize if I sound at all pedantic or argumentative. I'm just very passionate about making sure this project is in the best state that it can be in. And Manager-san was like, oh, brilliant. Well, it was like, no, we completely understand. And, you know, ultimately we'll leave the choice in your hands and that kind of stuff. Well, yeah. I mean, Anyway. Enough about that. Enough about that. So yeah, I've been doing really well. Just sort of going through like a phase of just being really thankful to be here, and all of that, and like thinking about all of the opportunities that I've been able to have. I'm so excited for everything to kick off with the Law Project, because like I'm into editing now. And it's going really, really well. It's shaping up to be great. The music is great. Everything about it is just really, really great. I'm so proud of the position that it's in. And also, it's kind of what's been fascinating about the process of making a project like this is that it's evolved so much over time. So essentially what happened to me was, you'll recall, essentially I came up with the idea for this, the idea that I had that was like, I should tell this part of my life, I should make this story known to people, was in January of 2022. I had been debuted for not even a month. It was that long ago. And I spoke to my artist friend, and I asked if she could sit down and this would be something long term that she could commit to. And she was like, yeah, you know what? I can do that. I was like, you know what? I can do that. And it took longer than expected. But I'm glad that it did, because what it meant was, it's kind of, the longer that it took, the more that I started to understand myself more. And the more that I started to understand what it was that this project needed to be and how important it was to me. And I feel like the time at which it's all started to kick off and the time at which it's all started to get ready has been right around when I've been changing so much as a content creator and when I've been learning so much about the kind of things that I want to do. And it's grown so much. Like at the start, my debut video, made by the same artist, was made very quickly. So essentially, it was like I wrote the script for the debut video maybe a month before debut, and I gave it to the artist and I said, make it as good as you can, but the most important thing is that it's done on time. And she was fantastic, and she got it finished. She got it finished right at the same time. And the debut video. There is one other voice actor who was a friend of Onigiri's who has a Fiverr, and like that was just a quick kind of like, oh shit, I need a character, I need someone to play like the girl on the wall, and then every other voice was me. And other than that, all the music is from fucking Dover Syndrome, and all the sound effects are from Zapsplat.com and all of that kind of stuff, and just kind of, I just made it myself. I just kind of did it, and that was that. And it was great, So that was that. And it was really funny to see, like, after people knew Luca could do a girl voice during debut, when the girl on the wall turned up, some people thought that was Luca voicing her, and I was like, what? But, Luca is very convincing, so it makes sense. But yeah, that was all put together in around about a month, I think. And when I started on this project that's gonna come out soon, I was approaching it with very much the same mindset. I was like, I'm just gonna find some music online for it. I'll voice most of the characters. I'll do this and that. I'll do the sound design. I'll do this. I'll do that. And yeah, we'll get it out in like 4 or 5 months, and it'll be good. But the longer that it took, the more that I started to realize like the stakes and how interesting of a project I'd actually unwittingly managed to create. And so now, rather than that, it's got a full soundtrack. The soundtrack is almost done, by the way. And it's very good. It's very, 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 very good. And Diego has been working his ass off. And he's been amazing because he's so receptive to receptive to feedback. and I've said this before, what he says about me is that I'm picky in just the right way. We have been talking to staff about getting the soundtrack on Spotify as well. So if you can imagine it, right, on Spotify or on streaming services and stuff, you know, I'm getting a movie poster done. Well, imagine that, but with proportions in a 1:1 ratio, title, official soundtrack, right? Isn't that going to be so cool? So he's very good at like kind of responding to my feedback, and like I said, at the end of like sort of a lot of the scenes that have been transpiring that he's doing the music for now is like the kind of thing that I've been sort of ready for and that I've been sort of like having ideas about for such a long time. I'm getting very picky about the exact sound, you know, and I've been really like, you know, whenever he gives me a piece of music, I'm like, all right, the emotion here isn't right. Let's kind of scale this back. Let's reduce this. Let's, you know, maybe add in a little bit of this. And he's so good and so polite about being like, yes, absolutely, on it. And then he'll just go and like create something, a brand new piece of music, something that sounded nothing like what he made before, but exactly what I was asking for. It's fantastic. And I can't imagine like the amount of just raw, I don't know, self-confidence required to be able to just, you know, I guess it's because I don't know how to make music, you know. Whenever I've made New Sidonia, and that was done with the help of a lot of people who actually know what they're doing. So whenever I see a song be made, I sit there and I'm like, I always feel like it represents so much work, but, you know, I don't understand like how he can be so confident and so sort of like, you know, professional to where, you know, if something that I ask him to do isn't really lining up with my vision for the scene, he's just fine to completely redo it, you know. And I keep saying, like, you know, if you need me, if it's taken longer than you thought, if you know, if the fee goes up or anything, like, that's fine, you know, we can, you know, like, you can always ask for a little bit extra. I don't want you to be, you know, strung along and do more work than you signed up for. And he's like, no, this is fine, it just might take a little longer. No, we'll do it. And it's, you know, it's really, really nice. But yeah, that's good. And like I said, movie poster, received the first draft for that recently, getting a real professional to do it, which is very, very nice. And I've been kind of experimenting with all of that. We're getting logos done. We're getting, I've been speaking with a Foley artist and sound designer and all of that kind of stuff. And it's reaching a point now where it's kind of, I originally imagined that it was, you know, just going to be kind of like a companion piece to streaming, and that I would kind of, you know, jump on and like any unanswered questions and stuff. It's like the way it began is that it would only really make sense to someone who knew the story, someone who, like, you know, was familiar with me and who, you know, was familiar with my streams and stuff. But now I'm realizing it's something that has the chance to really stand on its own. And I actually recently, I came up with, like very late after the script was finished, more like, you know, almost 2 years ago, I've come up with like ideas for like some extra scenes that kind of play a little differently. And I think that it really kind of helps it to sort of like be more well-rounded and stand up on its own. And it's frustrating because every time I get inspired by like a film or something, I feel like I have another idea and I'm like, I have to stop adding to this. Like, it's a complete package now, you know. So like, you're like, as it stands right now, I don't need to change it anymore. But I think that like as a completed package, I think it's really, really good, very good, at least from my perspective, where it stands right now. So I'm very excited to kind of see the response to it. And it's obviously going to be like a little bit longer than I planned for it, but by leaving like a little bit more time, the teaser trailer with the this fall is still true. It will still come out in the fall autumn season. But it's you know, I was originally thinking maybe I can get it out by the end of summer, but you know, that's obviously not been able to happen yet. And I'm glad that it's taking a little bit of extra time, because this way I can kind of really hone in and get all of get the best ideas kind of figured out. So yeah, no, it's been fantastic. Estimated month. Should I reveal when I estimate it will be released? Maybe I shouldn't, because I kind of want to leave you waiting. You never know. One morning you could wake up and suddenly see that when it's coming out, you know. And I think I'd prefer that. Let's leave it a bit of a mystery. Let's leave it a little mystery. So okay, one thing I will promise you though, what I'm gonna do, my idea for revealing it all, is that 1 month before it's released, I will reveal the release date to members. And this is because I have this idea, and a lot of people have been on the same boat of trying to rent out a cinema screen and inviting Kindred to go and see it. And because I know that if, with all the nerves waiting for the premiere, if I see a tweet with like a selfie or a picture of a packed cinema of people waiting to watch it, I will be inconsolable as a person. I don't think I'll be able to I don't think I'll be able to like continue with my day in any meaningful capacity if I see something like that. It will just drive me nuts. So anyone who's planning that, the release date will be announced 1 month prior on a member's stream. For everyone else, I'll be announcing it 5 days to a week before it comes out. That's when I'm going to drop the poster, and that's when I'm going to start doing what I'll call like a little press junket. So I'm going to do my best to try and like appear on different parts of the internet to see if I can like promote it in different circles and kind of, you know, help people who maybe don't watch NIJISANJI all the time, or who maybe like have a different idea of what we can do. Maybe they've sort of, you know, never really considered it. Maybe some of this we can, you know, kind of alert people, say, hey, this is something that's pretty interesting and new. And it's going to be really fun. I'm very, very excited for the whole process. I'm excited for it to be released just as much as I am, just as much like a guest on other shows, exactly, and to kind of see what I'm able to do. So I've been excited to make it, and excited as well to see what everyone thinks about it. But yeah, and after that's all well and done, I just want to keep going with other projects of that style. You know, my idea really is that I really want there to always be something to look forward to. You know, is that in between all of the these big events, you know, you can get stuck into streaming, and you can kind of like enjoy not just myself but everyone else in Niji, and you've always got something in the next couple of months that you can be excited to see. So yeah, it's been a great experience, and I'm very, very happy. Members are going to be so pained holding the date. I know, but I trust you, okay? I trust you. And it's not the biggest deal, because like if someone winds up leaking it somewhere, it's not like it's gonna kind of take the steam out of the announcement or anything. Like, you know, it's not as though it's private information at that point. The big, you know, the announcement for the public is when it's gonna kind of like actually pick up steam. So, you know, it'll be fine. I trust you, but it's not gonna make a difference. Coffee Bean, thank you very much. 10, thank you very much. And Avis, thank you so much. And Chun, thank you very much. And Kendra, thank you very much. And Taya Arts, thank you very much. My lips are sealed. Snitches get stitches. This is true. Is it a full-on movie? It's shorter than a typical film. Right now, with kind of some added sections, it's looking like... I'm sort of trying to predict like the length of it. My original thought was 35 to 40 minutes long, looking like it might be a little bit longer, maybe 45 to 50. But we'll see. It's like technically not a short, but it's also technically not a feature. It's somewhere in the middle, and it's not like fully animated or anything. It's just what's possible on the budget that I have. But it's still like, you know. What I'm trying to do is kind of just classify it as a film, because I think that that's more exciting than saying lore video. You know, that's something that only people in the VTuber sphere can understand. No one outside of VTubing knows what the fuck a lore video is. So the title will just be the title. It's not going to have like brackets lore. It's just going to be, you know, it's just a story. It's a true story from my life that I'm excited to share. Avis, thank you very much. Need to be booked a month in advance. It's great to know in advance. Yes, what you want is happening. Sapphire, thank you for the Akasupa. Today's my birthday. So glad to be able to spend it with you at this moment. A lot of bad things have happened lately, and your presence always brings me the motivation to keep going. Happy birthday, Sapphire. Thank you for the Akasupa. I'm so happy that you're having a good birthday. Excited to share it with me. Remy, thank you for the gifted. God, I rambled for a long time now. If you had the opportunity to put it on a streaming service, well, I mean, I know this would be good, but from the beginning, I've wanted it to be free to watch on YouTube, and that's how it's going to be. I don't want to kind of paywall it, because putting it on a streaming service would mean people who want to watch it need like a subscription to YouTube Premium or a Netflix subscription or something, and I feel like it just wouldn't really fit. I think a project like this, given that that its budget is limited and the style is different from what you might expect to find, I think that free to watch on YouTube is the right place for it. It will have a YouTube premiere, and it will be free to watch for everybody. And that's just how I find it. Because I think that rather than being exclusively about making its money back, I'm fully aware of the fact that outside of potentially doing like a subathon and trying to kind of recoup my my losses a little bit, I'm fully aware that there is no way that this project will make its money back. In absolutely no way, shape, or form will I ever break even on this project. But that's not the point. The point is not like a typical film where you make it and it's like, okay, we're looking to sell tickets and make our budget back and then you know, go into the green. The idea essentially is just to create something that is quite unlike what we've seen in this community before, and to try and, you know, like I've always said, to try and like shift perceptions around this kind of thing a little bit. It's always been about, it's about the passion behind it. It's about being able to tell a great story, but it's also about the fact that I want to have something like that under my belt, and to be able to show that we're capable of so much more. VTubers are capable of creating things so much more, and our perception in the public sphere can be so much more than viral tweets about twerking and clickbait clips with "she said what?" We're capable of doing so much more. What people in this community, what NIJISANJI members do, what Hollow members do, what indies do, is all brilliant. But it just makes me sad that like it's the stuff, you know, it's other stuff that kind of catches mainstream attention. And if I can make something unique enough, I don't know if this will do that, but I want to try. You know, I want to try and kind of make something that's really cool and that kind of like catches on a little bit. But you never know. I can't really say too much because these things are all. The internet is a strange beast, and you know, it chooses what it wants. So all I can do is make it as good as it can be and come out from a place with passion, and you never know where it will come from next. You know. Kendra, thank you very much, and Gooey Flames, thank you very much. Right. Yes. I am going to move on because I am nervous that I'm accidentally going to spoil something. I need to keep it so tightly wound up. I don't want to give anything away. I have an idea for a teaser trailer that I want to put out before like sort of slightly before it's released, and I want it to be the vaguest shit possible. I want it to be something that reveals nothing. It just is mysterious. You know, I don't want anybody to know what's about to happen. Katie Kane, thank you very much for the super. So that you will have a poster. Can this be printed for non-commercial use? Sure. I mean, if people wanted to just print it out and put it up in their own room, like that'd be fine. I'm sure that'd be fine. because I'm, you know, I'm just using it as a marketing material. You know, I'm just kind of, you know, pasting it on a wall. So just kind of, you know, like that's just gonna be an image that you'll be able to find. So yeah, you know, I can't stop you. Ria, thank you for the 10 gifted, and thank you very much. Taya Arts. Oh, building a cosplay. Ooh, very good. Kev, it's your character. I got no input whatsoever. I mean, cosplay is your expression. You know, if it's what, I mean, I've got nothing. I've never made a cosplay before in my life. So yeah, just go crazy. Whatever the character means to you, whatever I mean to you, whatever Voxan means to you, just do that. Danya, thank you very much. Consider a hashtag for questions. I'm thinking I will do all behind the scenes stuff once it's done and out. Once it's out, I will do, like, you know, streams afterward to field questions, I suppose. But other than that, you know, I think no. I think just a stream afterwards is all I'm really looking to do. Kirsten, thank you very much for the super. After has to ask permission for the company? I don't think so. Like, as long as it's all non-commercial, like, because the thing about renting out a theater is that you just pay a big fee for the theater to be all yours. And so I imagine what you would do is basically just everyone who's coming kind of pitches in an equal amount, and then you can, you know, and then you can have the screen. So it is what it is. Chris, thank you very much. How plans for the charity stream going? They're going well. We've got quite a few sign-ups for fun stuff going on with the charity stream. We've got some interesting things happening. So I've had like a bunch of different ideas for stuff to do. Some of it may or may not be possible due to the amount of people who are signing up. Obviously, my time zone is difficult for people who are in NA time zones, but I'm trying to do as much as possible. Mweko, thank you very much. How can I change my mood? Watch NIJISANJI streams. It will make you feel so much better every time, baby. Every time. Oh, Jesus. Chat's fucking dead again. Chat's fucking dead again. Oh, God, now I have to talk to myself. God. While I was happily on, like, off in my own little fucking world, while I was just like, you know, while I was just doing my own little thing, at that point, chat was fine. Now that I might be looking for input for something to talk about, now chat is dead. There you go. There you go. It's back. It's back. It's back. It's back. It's back. I mean, to be honest, I will take dead chat over a dead stream. At least at that point, I get to keep talking. You know, we've had very little knock on fucking wood. We've had very little issues with streams going down out of nowhere. But chat, I guess maybe that's like the curse. The curse of Neil has transitioned from being all about entire streams going down to just chat, and I think that's, like, you know, slightly better. Kendra, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the response to it is. I'm just giving it my best, you know. So yeah, God, this has gone by so fast. I really enjoy just getting to chat like this. Zestu, when I first started watching it, your goofy spirit reminds me of Gintama. Do you know of an anime called P-Canon? I don't. It sounds incredible, but no, I have not heard of that. Have you decided the title of the charity stream? Not yet, no. I mean, the title, I feel like I'm just gonna name it, like, you know, SAG-AFTRA Foundation charity stream, you know, just keep it simple. Or Entertainment Community Fund charity stream. Tokito, thank you very much. Regardless of how much money you save yourself emergency cash. No. Like I said, I've spent a lot of money on this project, but not anywhere near enough to the point where I would be, like, struggling to pay rent. Like, I'm spending a lot more than most people in my position probably would. You know, like, you know, I'm definitely getting questions of them being like, you sure you want to do that? But I have plenty saved up. Like, I'm not putting myself in a difficult position. It's just the kind of thing where if I was to do a subathon to kind of help me make the budget back a little bit, it would purely be like, hey, you know, I spent a load of my money making a cool thing that you could enjoy. If you'd like to help me make the money back, you can. But like that's just, you know, that just is what it is. You know, it's not as though a creative project has put me in financial disrepair. I'm fine. I'm completely fine. Also, Mark, thank you very much for the super. Just wanted to say, you kind of look like. You're a beta male, Sonic. Well, I would say it's what an immensely talented artist would draw if they decided to draw Shadow the Hedgehog as an anime character. But, you know, I'm content with that. I think Shadow the Hedgehog's pretty swag. I like Shadow the Hedgehog. I think he's a cool guy. The fact that, you know, you've got Sonic games which are all upbeat and like, whoa, yeah! And then Shadow the Hedgehog has his own game and he has a fucking gun. Hell yeah, you know? I showed up in NIJISANJI with a sword. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. They gotta give me my own game. They gotta give me a game like Shadow the Hedgehog. Back to the acting thing. Do you method for all your ASMRs or only some? How do you decide when or not to? I mean, I'm never method as such. Like, I get, like, with the bartender ASMR, for example, I had a cocktail set and stuff, and I had some ice, but that's all just for sound effects. I don't think I'm method at all. Like, I can't really be method. I really couldn't be a method actor, because let's say cowboy ASMR, right? Let's say cowboy ASMR. I couldn't pretend to be a cowboy all day and then also sit down and use OBS. OBS nor computers existed during the era of the Wild West, so I don't think being method would be possible. As it comes to staying in character, yes, every stream I am in character the whole time, like, unless something snaps me out of it, like, for the 2 hours, I'm just, like, you know, acting. You know, it's just acting. Like, you get into character, you believe that you, in that moment, you are this character, you understand the emotions they would be feeling in that moment, and you just kind of go for it, you know? The only thing they had invented then were guitars and revolvers. Any 1 mil goals or ideas? We hit 1 mil a year ago. We hit 1 mil on Twitter and YouTube a year ago. What are you talking about? Sonic, thank you very much. Is that a sword in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Hey. It is a sword in my pants, and if you keep acting like that, I won't be very happy to see you at all. You don't want to catch. You don't want to catch that. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you a warning. You don't want to be the person to catch that, okay? Please be sensible and do not incur the wrath of your local demon, please. Whoop. So, for the rest of the day, we're going to play that horror game starting in about like an hour's time. So, I'll keep the stream going for like another 30 minutes or so, and then we're going to get started on that. I had fun. I had fun chatting today. I just need to think about... I feel like I've talked my ass off about everything I've been thinking about, and now my brain is hollow again. How about a sword fight? Well, unfortunately, my sword may be a little too sharp for anything like that. I don't want anyone losing their sword. My sword fell off. You know what I'm saying? Key, thank you for the Arc Super. Happy birthday! Celebrate by wearing a very Vox-coded outfit to work. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you for reigniting my love of film and ridding me of my art block. I feel very lucky to have you as my cameo. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you very much, Key. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. That's really, really nice to hear. I'm glad I could have helped you with your art block. Night 2 doesn't count as method. I mean, no. I mean, I'm sat there on a computer. I can't be method if I'm... Method acting, I feel like there might be some confusion. Like, method acting is when you do not exit character, you know. So Daniel Day-Lewis is an excellent example of a method actor. I'll tell you a great quote. This is Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he was filming Lincoln, the film about Abraham Lincoln, where Daniel Day-Lewis played Lincoln with, Daniel Day-Lewis was Abraham Lincoln in the film Lincoln. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was also in the film, said, yeah, for the 3 months or the 4 months or so, or however long that we were shooting Lincoln, I only knew Abraham Lincoln. When we finished filming, then I got to know Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis is extremely method, because what he does is, when filming starts, or before it rather, he will be in character and will believe he is that character the entire time. Whether he's going out to dinner with the cast, whether he's at home by himself, on set, calling someone, he does not exit character the entire time. It's only dangerous if you decide to be an asshole like Jared Leto, who thought that sending people dead rats and putting salt in people's coffee is a good way of method acting as the Joker, when really I think that was just an excuse for him to be an asshole. The method acting that makes the news is when people like Jared Leto decide to be an asshole. Most method actors aren't going to do anything insane, they just don't turn the act off. They just keep acting. A lot of method actors may not... like do it as intensely as Daniel Day-Lewis, but they will still they'll still make sure that they, stay in character for long periods of time. And they'll often do a really heavy amount of research. There's a Simpsons episode where I think it's James Woods, like he says, yeah, I've got a movie coming out, I'm going to be a store clerk, so I'm going to start working at the Quickie Mart, see what it's all about. So he's like in the Quickie Mart and he's like working as a cashier because he's going to star as a cashier. And so method actors feel the more personally they get like stuck into their character, the better their acting will be. And really with Daniel Day-Lewis, you can really just fucking tell. You can really tell how well it works, because how many movies? I mean, we've watched Phantom Thread together. Other notable examples would be My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood. What else has Daniel Day-Lewis been in? Gangs of New York and all that kind of stuff. Like, Daniel Day-Lewis is regarded by many people to be the best actor who ever lived. And when you watch something like There Will Be Blood, you can really fucking tell. Phantom Thread is fantastic. Daniel Day-Lewis has won Best Actor 3 times, each in a separate decade. What a fucking career. He's won Best Actor for... Let me have a look at this. Daniel Day-Lewis Oscars. He's won Best Actor for... He has won My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood, and Lincoln. So yeah, in 3 separate decades, he's won Best Actor. And he was incredible in... He just transforms. You can tell that he so thoroughly he's so method, and he's believing so thoroughly that he is this character that he just transforms. In Lincoln, it's a combination of the makeup, but it's a combination of his style as an actor that you forget that it's Daniel Day-Lewis. This is any good character actor, but with Daniel Day-Lewis, you really fucking forget. The smallest costume change from his previous film, and he looks like a completely new person. And he acts like it too. It's all the way down. Acting is not just a craft about being able to project your voice and being able to have energy on stage, although this does help. When you play a character, you need to understand how your character moves and talks, and you need to understand what your character's sense of humor is. I think that while sometimes you can put a lot of your own emotion into playing a character, it's also true that a lot of the time you need to be able to remove yourself from your character, and you need to be able to fully dip into someone who is unlike yourself. I mean, let's take Oppenheimer, for example. If you've watched the film, and if you've seen Cillian Murphy as a person out and about, you know that these two are absolutely nothing alike. They are completely different people, even though both of them are, Oppenheimer was a real person, Cillian Murphy still is a real person. Both have incredibly rich, complex personalities, and yet they are so different. But what works is Cillian Murphy is such a fantastic actor. He is brilliant at slipping into being someone else. He can do the things that Oppenheimer does without, and without needing to put himself into it, because that's what acting's all about. You don't need to just, and it's what fucking bothers me so much about a lot of, like, the TikTok discourse after, I saw this infuriating fucking screenshot from a TikTok where someone was like, this moment in history should not be, was like, this film is ridiculous. This moment in history should not be characterized by two white men having an ego battle. He does not deserve our respect. And I was like, darling, you were so close. I promise you that is the point. I promise you that is what they were on about. That is the point of the entire story. That you got it. You got it. It's so frustrating that when it comes to art, there is a complete inability for some people to understand that, people who play, actors who play a character, directors who create a film, and writers who write a story don't necessarily support the viewpoints that are presented in those films. It's insane to me that you can watch a film about that and not understand that, there is no good guy. There is no good guy. Additional 1 mil. It's alright. Sorry for making fun of you. Not at the moment, but I'm sure when we get around to that, I'll definitely think of something. But yeah, it's like, it's just... exactly. A movie about someone who has committed grave sin. This movie must be supportive of that person. No. It's a realistic and very faithful portrayal of just that. It is factual. We are observing something that happened. An artistic representation of something that happened. And you don't, and by believing that, you're just fucking out here trying to cook up a fucking storm on social media by just, you have like this weird need. Every crime film is promoting murder. Every anti-hero film is supposedly saying that no villainy is a good thing. No. Tom Felton receiving hate for playing Draco. Tom Felton's probably a very nice man in real life. Being good at playing an asshole doesn't mean that you are an asshole. It's so silly. Minors should never have been given access to the internet. They're having so many opinions and they're all wrong. It's so fucking annoying. Can we just like, can we just have the internet for adults, please? Can we all just have like an adult conversation? I mean, I guess when I was reading like the reviews for Oppenheimer, and a lot of the reviews saying like, this is filmmaking for adults, and like after having watched it and seen like the response from all the people who were swept up in the hype and just went to see it, and they were like, actually, I don't think it was good that he did that. And I'm like, congratulations, you figured it out. Do you think that when he, do you think that when it looked like all life and any sense of moral integrity was sucked out from his soul, that he, that he said that after having done something terrible and then says, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Did you sit there and think that man was completely morally justified and that's what the filmmakers were trying to get at? You fucking idiot. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm too angry about it. It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand how you can watch a film like that and think that it's like some kind of heroic biopic that depicts that is just like, no, we're gonna be super patriotic and say that this is all good. That's just not what it is, and it's so frustrating. These are all people who are used to like, you know what I need? You know what? Yeah, I need, when I watch a film, whenever a character says something, I need a thumbs up or a thumbs down emoji in the corner to let me know if the director agrees or disagrees with what the character is saying, I need, or better yet, when a bad person talks, I need the subtitles to be in red. When a good person talks, I need the subtitles to be in green, just so I'm absolutely sure that we're on the same page. As though I don't have the moral fiber or the fucking, like, attention span to figure out that actually, maybe, you can figure out, you can evaluate the actions of the characters in a story without needing to be expressly told that they are a good guy or a bad guy. It's very weird and disturbing that there is that lack of understanding. But then I don't really blame people, because half the movies that people watch, like, like Marvel movies, and stuff like that will always have, like, good guy is, wears a superhero costume, and then the bad guy is called, like, Baron von Killfuck, and it's like, well, obviously he's not gonna, there's not gonna be much moral complexity to that guy. Or like Suicide Squad, where they have like the introductions for characters with the title of the character and then their traits and stuff. It's like, I need one of those, but when Robert Strauss comes in, I need like, I need like, this guy's bad. I'm like, all right, I need when Einstein turns up in Oppenheimer, I need a pause so that I can go like, I know him. I've seen him before. Oh God. Or like to anyone who's walked away from a film and not really understood, all I'm gonna say is, like, it's okay not to get a film. It's okay to feel like it didn't register with you, and it's okay, especially for a film like Oppenheimer, which is really jam-packed with information. It's long, but it's very, very fast-paced. It's really normal to feel a little confused by some parts. The difference is asking. The difference is talking to someone you watch the film with and say, like, what did you feel about that? Like, what did you think about this part of it? It's like, well, I didn't really get that. And then they might be able to say, oh, well, I thought it was this. And you go, oh, right, now I get it, Like, I feel like there are some, like, I do it as well. Like, I went to school to study film, and there are a lot of times when I'll watch a film and I feel like I don't get it. And then I look it up afterwards and I'm like, oh, right. And then I think about it again and I think, you know what, they did do that quite right. It's easy, but the difference is walking out of something and acting like you're morally superior for thinking that it's morally superior, for being like, actually, it's dumb and it shouldn't have been made. Blah, 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 blah. It's so silly. It's so silly that, especially considering, obviously I have like a limited amount of, I can't speak for anybody, but I felt that, all of the sort of the controversial aspects surrounding Oppenheimer were handled very respectfully. It's just factual, and yet still, it's not enough. It's not enough to have a factual portrayal of a real person. It's like, no, I need to be expressly told that the director thinks they are a bad person. Fascinating film. Fascinating story, but just clearly minors online are not ready to think about it. People need to be like, think! Exactly. Minors online need to just stop and sit back and actually think about these things for a while. Because it just makes things more interesting, It's like watching any character. Like, I love a good moral dilemma. I love it when a film can introduce me to a main character who is, like, conflicted, when they've done something wrong, or perhaps they feel justified in the wrong actions that they took, and it's the process of them learning. It's like, I love when, you can do this in popular film, and this is why I love The Last Jedi so much. Because Kylo Ren is actually a pretty morally complex villain, And so is Darth Vader. Star Wars has some pretty great villains when it comes to, like, the, it's that conflict, between, it's interesting how Star Wars as a universe has good and evil as a part of its tapestry. It has good and evil as a part of the universe in the light side and the dark side. But the thing about that is that, let's take Kylo Ren, for example. I fucking can't stand the people who, spoiler warning for the sequel trilogy, okay? I can't stand that when he had his redemption at the end of 9, the people who said, but he killed people. First of all, it's not fucking real. Second of all, doesn't that make it so much more interesting, that we have the chance to sit and evaluate and think about what this character went through? He has had such a complex journey. Let's think about his story, narrative from beginning to end. Narrative from beginning to end with Kylo Ren. Son of Han Solo and Princess Leia, born incredibly powerful with the Force. Han Solo, very uncommitted father, guy who has his wanderlust and has spent his life running from his responsibilities. Not the best father figure. Makes sense why when he grows up, he is decently annoyed at his father, but still has a lot of love for him. Han Solo has a lot of genuine love for his son Ben, but he's not a great dad. He's not a great dad in that way. Princess Leia, incredibly, or General Organa, as she is in that part of in that trilogy, she is an immensely politically important figure who has completed, who has done so much in her life. She is the ultimate role model in Star Wars. She has achieved so much. She is insanely powerful with the Force. Doesn't even need to fucking use it. She is just as powerful as Luke Skywalker. She doesn't even need it. And she is just content to do her thing and to lead from behind the scenes. An incredible, incredible character. And so he is the son of these two role models. I mean, even Han Solo, who was a smuggler and everything, was considered a war hero, because of how he aided in destroying the Death Star and all of that kind of stuff. So incredible parents to look up to, but neither of them were present in his life when he was, as young as often, at least in the days of the Galactic Republic, Jedi were trained from the age of 2, 3, sometimes younger, So we can assume that only slightly older than that, 5 or 6. And Kylo, or Ben, was just shipped off to be with Luke. Never, would have barely gotten to know his parents before he was sent off. And then also reminded that at the time he was being manipulated by Snoke or Palpatine the entire time. All of the dark thoughts in his head, all of the violent urges that he had were being thrust upon him by an abusive mentor figure who was constantly telling him, these people don't care about you, I do. Look at the way that they treat you. Compare it to the way that they treat me. You don't deserve to be here. You deserve to be with me. Not from when he was old enough to, even though being an adult, that can still have an impact when you're young, when you're that young, when you have multiple mentor figures. And let's think about who his mentors were at the time. His parents, who he, in his mind, abandoned him, and Luke Skywalker, who was self-admittedly, I sensed darkness in him, and so likely would have been quite a biased teacher. You have a teacher who says, there's darkness in you and I don't like it, just try and repress it. Meanwhile, someone's actively shoving that into your skull. No one is there to support you. No one is there to help you see the path and go back to the path of the light, because they're just not helping you. And the only person who he feels like genuinely cares for him is the one who's trying to manipulate him in order to turn him to the dark side. And so of course, when the one person who was trying to bring him back onto the path of the light tries to kill him, of course that's the motivator for him to skip over and say, all right, yeah, maybe the guy who's been manipulating me all these years, maybe he's fucking right. And so off he went. And then he grew to become Kylo Ren and essentially became the next Darth Vader. Also, if anyone in my chat dares to say Luke wouldn't do that, did we watch the same fucking movie? Were you paying attention? Did you fall asleep? Drink a cup of fucking coffee. He, as a real, morally complex character, has a slight, fleeting moment of weakness. Because he was the son of Darth Vader and saw firsthand, he grew up in a world created by Darth Vader. He saw people being oppressed, people murdered in the millions by Darth Vader and the Empire. And in front of him, he thought, that is the next Darth Vader, someone of incredible power who is being tempted by the dark side. And in his head, he's like, right now, I could stop all of those millions of deaths. And he just because he thinks about it for 1 second, turns the lightsaber off and then turns it back on and then turns it off again. He says, oh shit, I can't possibly do that. But that one fleeting moment was too much. Why do people think that it makes him weak as a character to have a moment of weakness? Why are we under the impression that characters who make mistakes are somehow like worse? Isn't screenwriting or, you know, character writing 101 that flawed characters are more interesting? Luke is emotional. He is an angry person. He is immensely traumatized by things that have happened in his life. And when he is presented with the opportunity to prevent harm and shame from coming to other people, he thinks about the worst possible option for 1 second. For 1 second. And then people are like, not my Luke. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. Of course he fucking would. Luke is all about, you know, preventing evil. And that in his head was like, I think I can do it like this. Wait a minute, that's fucked up. Too late. Too late. Hence the tragedy of the story. Hence how fucked up it becomes. So back to Kylo Ren. Yes, he does kill a lot of people. Of course he does. He is the servant. He is the long arm of the law for a galactic dictator. Of course he's gonna go around. Of course he's gonna go around killing people. He's the new Darth Vader. But this only adds to what makes it interesting. Should we redeem? You know, should we feel that a character with this much blood on their hands deserves redemption? Consider what they've been through. Consider how perhaps this isn't what they want, or perhaps they don't have a choice. That instantly you're being presented not with clear emotional, like, yes or no. You're being presented with facts, ideas. Have you ever thought, maybe, just for 1 second, think. Maybe, just for one brief second, think, actually, about what it is that you are consuming. Have a thought and be like, ask yourself something. Should I? Should I? Does he? Suddenly, you are actively consuming. You're not just passively consuming, you're actively consuming. You are engaged with what you're watching. And that's why I love The Last Jedi so much. It encourages you to fucking think. Instead of just blue versus red, it's, oh, but red has been through all this and doesn't want to be here, but blue is struggling with all of this as well. And there's also this happening, and then there's all these other people over here, and all of them are going through this. I mean, people who said, like, yeah, they didn't accomplish anything. That's the fucking point! If you ever feel morally superior to a film, there are some things out there. Some films and TV shows are completely morally bankrupt, like The Idol, for example. I think if you don't feel morally superior to The Idol, you should probably turn yourself into the fucking police. But like for the vast majority of entertainment, considering yourself morally superior to it, I guarantee that you just fucking missed the point, darling. I guarantee that if you think, well, why the fuck is it implying that I should feel that, like, this guy is a good guy? Chances are it's fucking not. Chances are that's just a character who did something wrong and then wanted to do something good. Sometimes you don't need strict good guys and bad guys, but I can't blame everybody because the films that people see do have those lines drawn. The ones that connect with the most people are the ones that have good and bad guys. I get it. I understand. Like, you know, this is what people are used to, and so that when they're presented with something emotionally mature, they have no fucking idea what to think. They have no idea how to process it, and they just think like, well, in another movie, I would, you know, this character who I thought was the protagonist would be completely morally pure, and I wouldn't have to think at all about anything going on, and I would walk home feeling happy and satisfied with no thoughts in my head apart from that was fun, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, films are allowed to be just fun as well as they're allowed to be thought-provoking, but it's just, I don't know, it just pissed me off beyond belief that we can, you know, be lucky enough to have films that are emotionally and morally mature to the point where it encourages us to think about our own morals and to think about what it is that we want out of life and what it is that we think about these characters. You know, how much do you forgive somebody? How much do you think that a person is deserving of redemption? These are all valid points. These are all, you know, if you walk out of a film and you think, you know, like that character, oh, I couldn't stand him, honestly. Good, right? if there's a character who's kind of posited as like gray morally or sort of like conflicted, and you personally think that they're not worth redemption, you've actively thought about and, you know, evaluated the character. That is not to the film's detriment. That is not something that makes the film bad. I'm going to tell you straight up, that was probably highly intentional on the point of the filmmaker. It's one of my favorite experiences when you go to watch a film with a group of friends and everyone walks away with a different interpretation. You know, everyone walks away with a different idea of what it was all about. And so isn't that great? And you get to talk and you get to kind of like, oh, I like this because of this. No, but I felt this. You know, having a debate about characters and what went on and like whether you think someone in the film is deserving of what happened to them. Do you think that it should have played out a different way? How did it make you feel? I guarantee that if a character dies that you don't think deserves to die, it's most fucking likely not that the filmmaker doesn't like that character. It's so fucking annoying that people who are in, a lot of people who are in fandoms, who are on Twitter, think that the creators of this art engage with it in the same way that you do. They don't. Okay? They're on the opposite end. Let's think about, okay, spoilers for Harry Potter right now, okay? Spoilers for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. 3, 2, 1. Do you think that the filmmakers dislike Dobby? Do you think that, what's his name, David Yates, do you think that he personally does not stan Dobby? Do you think that he is morally opposed to Dobby? Do you think that Dobby is a bad person? No! Dobby's death is an incredible moment from the middle of the book and from the end of part 1 that ushers us into the final part of the series, where we come to understand that the series has finally grown up. That is their coming of age moment where they realize that nothing is sacred, and it was there to further the emotional impact of the story. And so it's the same thing where when people have these speculations and these ideas that these filmmakers are thinking about their own favorite characters and that they're only furthering the interests of their favorite characters and they're giving bad ends to characters they don't like, that's not how it fucking works. The way that you engage as a fan with something, you know, you can say, I want my fave to live. Great, you know, you're having fun engaging with it. But the instant that you start to think, oh, you know, this new director came in and hates this character, it's just... I gave a spoiler warning. I gave a spoiler. If anyone's got spoiled by that, you know, they listen to that willfully. But anyway, that's how I feel about that. If anyone feels remarkably called out by what I've said here today, my advice to you is this. You will dramatically enjoy the media that you consume so much more if you apply your moral compass to the film, to the characters in their situation, rather than the film itself. You will suddenly, because I don't want to believe that it's down to like a pure like intellectual thing, you know, I want to believe that everybody, no matter who you are, what your background is, how familiar you are with art, I want to believe everybody has the capacity to engage with art on the same level. I want to believe that everyone is capable of that. I don't like people who gatekeep and say like, oh, you wouldn't possibly understand. No. Everyone has the capacity to understand these things. If you feel called out, if you went to watch a movie like Oppenheimer and walked out annoyed because you felt like it portrayed Oppenheimer as a hero and felt like it was morally bankrupt, what I would like to ask of you is to consider the fact that you most likely just missed all of the instances in which, essentially what I'm going to say is, a film will not necessarily have good guys or bad guys. Most films have characters, and these characters have their own stories, motivations, they have their own traumas, they have their habits, they have their attitudes, opinions, and just if you can put your ego to the side for a bit, they might be very, very different from yourself. They might think and believe things that are the opposite of what you think and believe. But all of this is in service of a story. All of this is in service of telling you something that is interesting and entertaining. And if you're under the impression that the filmmaker is using, I mean, I guess sometimes this is true, but if you're under the impression that a filmmaker is using these characters purely as devices to push like a really bankrupt moral idea, you're probably wrong. You're probably, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. This is true sometimes, but for most films, characters don't need to have a clear good guy or bad guy label. They are just characters who are doing their thing. So I want you to do your very best to engage with the books you read, with the stories, with the films you watch, with the fucking TV that you consume, anything like that, and to think about the way in which the characters act without the 3D glasses that are red and blue. Don't look at it through those 3D glasses and think, oh, this character's looking a little red to me, this character's looking a little blue. I'm gonna hit you with a real hard fucking fact right now. Outside of people who genuinely, outside of like a 1% of people in life who do absolutely deplorable things knowingly and with intent, most people on Earth are pretty good people, I think. Most people, I would say at the bare minimum, 95% of people are good people, and the same applies to characters in films. True bad people are out there, 100%. People who will use others for their own gain and do so knowingly and, and all of that kind of stuff. Even people who have made really awful mistakes, probably, if they feel guilt and if they try to change themselves, I'd say there is goodness, like lying somewhere in there. And so this isn't advice for your real life. If someone's done something bad to you, you don't have to exercise the same kind of like, moral understanding on them as you do on characters in fiction. Protect yourself in your own life. If someone's hurt you, even if you think that they're a good person who just made a mistake, you don't have to give them your patience and time, and you can cut someone that is hurting you out of your life at any time. But that's the beauty of storytelling. That's the beauty of fiction, because it's not real. Because it is there to tell a story, and a character that you would not want to know in real life, a character who you would be very scared of in real life, a character who has done bad things. If they were in real life, we probably wouldn't like them. But in fiction, we can just sit back and wonder and find their story interesting. We can wonder, why did they do that? The context of the universe that it's set in, the ways that the other characters interact with them, the way that they have been treated, formulate an opinion and remember that most likely someone in a film who's done terrible things, just because they're not given an evil skull mask and everyone points at them and says, that's the bad guy, it doesn't mean that the director is justifying their fucking actions and saying that they're like a good person, A very silly opinion. Very silly and reductive way of consuming art. And I actually feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you if when you watch something, you cannot separate your own like moral insecurity from like something you're watching. You feel like, no, in order to feel like a good person, I need to know who the good and bad guys are. It's not always that easy, Just fucking think about it for 2 seconds. Anyway. Oh yeah, it's the same crowd of people who think that Breaking Bad is trying to say that Walter White is an icon. The kind of people who idolize Walter White. Jesus Christ. I've never met one before. If I ever meet someone who idolizes one of the following, here we go. The big five. If I meet someone who idolizes Walter White, who else? Walter White, the Joker, Patrick Bateman. I feel like Ryan Gosling from Drive is not that bad. It's like, they're probably not a bad person, they're probably just very lonely and depressed.
and need a friend. Yeah, BoJack Horseman. That's a big one. And Rick Sanchez. Boom. Those are the big 5. Patrick Bateman, Walter White, Rick Sanchez, BoJack Horseman, and the Joker. Just because, like, a character is the protagonist of a story, just because they are the one who incite the incidents and have a journey and are, you know, complex enough, does not mean that you should aspire to be like them. It does not mean that in the real world that what they're doing would be good. We can find it fascinating, and that's why we love Breaking Bad, because we kind of get to follow a character who is quite unlike anything we've seen before. And Walter White is complex. I mean, he's a very vicious, evil person at many, many, many points in the series. But he is conflicted. He does have debates with himself morally, and the fascinating part of Breaking Bad is watching Walter, who is, I'd say, at the very least in the first few episodes, is genuinely quite a likable character. You know, he's goofy and he's clumsy and he's like, you know, lonely and frustrated and everything, and he's sad. And he only really kills anyone in the first few episodes out of self-defense. But the fascinating part about Breaking Bad is watching him go down the rabbit hole, because from the very beginning, Walt's biggest problem was his ego. It's the fact that no matter what happened, he needed to satisfy his ego. Exactly. People call Skylar annoying because she gets in the way of what Walt wants to do. Yes, Skylar is the most normal fucking human being in all of Breaking Bad. She's the only one who emotionally responds to things in a way that makes any sense at all. Not that it makes sense, but like, you know, if you had a husband of however many years, of some 20-something years, if you had a husband of 20 years, and after learning that he was dying, he was dying of cancer, you also learn that this dangerous drug kingpin that your brother-in-law has been trying to track down is him as well, and that you now have to keep his secret because otherwise you will most likely be killed and put your family in danger. Yeah, I'd be really fucking pissed as well. I would be mortified. I'd like to think that most normal people would be as well. But just like everyone else, Skylar is not a point of complete moral reference. You know, she's not a purely perfect person. You know, I fucked Ted. She doesn't process her emotions in all of the best ways, and she can be uncommunicative sometimes, and she has a terrible relationship with her sister, and she, is going through a really terrible point in her life where she feels like she's achieving nothing, and she's tied down, and, nothing is going right for her. She's far from perfect. But this is exactly the problem. It's exactly the problem, is that we're not looking at these characters as people. We're looking at them as just points of reference for our own selfish need to feel like we're morally superior. I've said the word moral like 75 fucking times in the stream. I apologize. But we, people's need to feel superior, it's synonyms for moral. Principled, right? To feel like we are more principled than the characters in this film. When really, honestly, I'm being completely serious with you, darling. It's far more. I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't make me trust you any more than I would trust anyone else. In fact, I think it really just reeks of insecurity. If you're that worried about how you're perceived morally, I feel like maybe you've got some skeletons in your closet you need to get some therapy for. But anyway, I've rambled for way too long. We have 20 minutes until the next stream, so I am going to go get some food. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. This was a really fun stream. I was intending to talk a lot more with you all, but I wound up rambling for a long time, but I had a lot of fun doing that. It was nice. So thank you all very much for having been patient with me and listened to all of my opinions on these various different things. It was fantastic, and I feel like I've gotten a lot of annoyance at various things off my chest, and I'm looking forward to playing that horror game. Thank you, Puff, for the super. When am I watching AOT? I do want to watch AOT at some point. At this point, do you have any tips when your boyfriend is a Walter stance, Skylar hater, but you don't watch it much? What I would say, the show is good, so I'd recommend watching it. The show is very good, so I'd recommend watching it. Watch it, and then, you know, debate him on it. Watch him and debate him on it. If he's a Skylar hater, then that's a red flag, and you should worry about it. I'm just saying. Julian, thank you. I'm very glad you enjoyed the stream. Kamaki, thank you very much. Nana, thank you very, very much. I love you too. Luna, thank you very much. And Sal, thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to see you guys in 20 minutes time. Bye-bye. Oh, no, Kazuka, where is it?